upgrading the Domri City Smasher Planeswalker deck. Hey everyone, it's vmcampos Magic Fan. I've got another Planeswalker upgrade video for you. This time it's the Domri City Smasher deck from Ravnica Allegiance. Now this video is intended for beginning to intermediate players who have this Planeswalker deck and want to make it a little better. I'm also focusing on a budget build because I'm going to only pick common and uncommon cards that you can get from Ravnica Allegiance. Because we all know that if you've got the money for it, you'll be able to upgrade any deck really great. But our stipulations are common and uncommon, Ravnica Allegiance only cards. Don't forget to check the description for chapter stops. Let's get started. The jewel of the deck is the Domri City Smasher Planeswalker card. This is a 6 casting cost, mythic rare, 4 loyalty counters +2. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain haste until end of turn. I like that. -3, Domri deals 3 damage to any target. So you have a lightning bolt on a Planeswalker. And -8, put 3 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. Those creatures gain trample until end of turn. So you're going to give all your creatures a permanent +3/+3, and they'll gain trample until end of turn. That's pretty fun. With a +2, you should be able to get there pretty quickly. So this deck is going to focus a lot on creatures. We're going to focus as much as we can on riot creatures and multicolored creatures, as we will see why in the deck build. First of all, I have to say, let's fix the mana base, because we've got 11 mountains and 11 forests. Well, I'm going to take out one of each of those forest and mountains to instead put 2 Rhythm of the Wild. This is an uncommon. This is starting to get a little pricey, so if you're able to snap these up, I would. Now this is a great enchantment. 3 mana. Creatures spells you control cannot be countered. This is a creature-heavy deck, and once you get this out on turn 3, you'll have your creatures uncounterable. And all your creatures will get Riot. And yes, if you've got a creature that already has Riot, it will get double Riot. So Riot, of course, is new in Ravnica Allegiance. Your creature can either have haste or a +1/+1 counter. I'm going to put 2 of these, and if you've got the money to spare or you've cracked enough of them, I would put a whole playset of 4. That'll be really cool. I'm going to leave the 4 guild gates so that we can get dual mana. This will be an upgrade possibility later on in the Bling It Out section, so we'll come back. Okay, so here's a big change. The deck comes with 2 Feral Maca, and I like cats, but this is way too plain. 2 mana for a 2/2, so I'm taking this little cat out completely. And instead, I'm adding 2 Gravelhide Goblins to complement the 2 that are already there. So a full playset, same casting cost, 2/1, but then when you've got the mana, as many times as you want, +2/+2 until end of turn. So even with 1 time that you add this mana, you get a 4/3. And the more mana you have later on in the game, this gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And if you've got Rhythm of the Wild, that can get a +1 and or haste as they come in. I'm keeping the 2 Clamor Shaman as is. Clamor Shaman, Clamor Shammer. And that's a 3 casting cost, 1/1 uncommon. It comes with the deck. It comes with Riot. So again, it can become a 2/2 or a 1/1 with haste. and whenever it attacks, target creature an opponent controls can't block. So bring this guy in, attack right away with haste, it's unblockable. Or keep it as a 2/2 and it's still unblockable. I'm keeping the 3 Zertog Goblin. This is one that I might consider adding one more, although it's uncommon. For 2 mana, you get a 2/2 with Riot. So again, 2/2 come in, attack with haste, or pause and come in as a 3/3 for 2 mana. Nice. Keeping the Frenzied Erinx, 4 mana, 3/3 with Riot. Okay, same thing. You get either a 4/4 or a 3/3 with haste. It's got trample, so if you haste in and attack and it gets blocked, you'll probably get a little damage to go through. Then you pay 6 mana for it to get +3/+0. So this can be a 6/3 with trample. Or if you waited, this can be a 7/3 with the counter. Nice. I'm going to remove the 2 Sylvan Brush Strider, a little plain, and instead replace with 2 of same casting cost, Rubble Slinger. She's got a 2 + 1 Gruul mana, either red or green. 2/3. Reach, so she'll be able to take out flying creatures. Now the deck is a little light on air defense, so we've got a reach creature, multicolored, and again this will be important why multicolored in a moment. We've got 1 Axebane Beast, which I will remove to add a Gore Clan Wrecker. The beast is way too simple. For the same casting cost, we get a 2/2 with Riot. So again, +1/+1, or haste and menace. So even if you haste, 2/2 could be unblockable, or 3/3, better yet, unblockable. This is one where you can get one more if you'd like, but you'll have to figure out what you'll remove. We have several one-ofs in the deck, and one way to make any deck stronger is to put more than one of. So here's where you can decide. I'm going to keep the Rampaging Rendhorn, 5 mana, 4/4 Riot. Cool. Wrecking Beast, 7 mana, 6/6 Riot and Trample. Ooh, getting even beefier. Then we've got the Endray's Forerunners, 8 mana, 7/7 Vigilance, Trample, Haste. And when it enters the battlefield, other creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain Vigilance until end of turn. This comes with the deck, keeping it as is. If you can get more of these, might be fun, although it's a lot of mana to get to this point. But got some big creatures up on the high end of the mana curve. We've got a Balrak Clan Crusher, which I'm removing to put in another Rampaging Rendhorn. So this is what I'm saying about doubling up on things. They're both common, so you should be able to get it. 4/4 with Riot. So if you can get any more of the other big creatures, that might be nice too. That one's common, this one is rare, however. Okay, so we've got 2 of the Burn Bright. This is an instant that not really that worth it at all, so I've taken them both out to instead put some direct damage. Now this card is a little bit more leaning towards Rakdos, but shh, don't tell your opponent. So for 2 mana, you deal 2 damage to target creature. And if it would die, exile it instead. So get rid of some pesky creatures, perhaps that you've already damaged with another one of your creatures, do the final 2 points of damage and exile that creature. And this is at instant speed, so that's cool. I'm going to keep the Stony Strength for only 1 green mana instantly, put a permanent +1/+1 counter on one of your creatures, and then untap it. So your opponents think your defenses are down. Nope, instantly, as long as you've got 1 green mana, untap the creature, make it stronger, ready to block. Keep them both. This deck has 3 exclusive cards, 4 including the Planeswalker. These are cards you can only get in this deck. They are numbered past number 259. Okay, Rage Fire, 3 damage to target creature. Sorry, I'm going to remove those completely to instead put in Skewer the Critics. 3 casting cost, deals 3 damage to any target, not just a creature. It could be the opponent, it could be their Planeswalker. And with Spectacle, again, this is borrowed from the good buddies over at Rakdos. With Spectacle, if you damaged your opponent, if they lost life, then it only costs 1 red mana instead of 3. So you'll probably be able to do damage with your creatures. This goes down to 1 mana, then you do 3 damage to finish off their big creature, or damage the opponent, or damage their Planeswalker. 3 of those. Common. Here's some more exclusive cards. This is the Charging Warboar. 3 mana, 3/1, haste. Okay, so it can attack right away, and as long as you control the Domri Planeswalker, it gets +1/+1 in Trample. So you could have a 4/2 with Trample if you've got Domri hanging out. Keeping those 3, but here's an example where I might take out 1 to put in a different card, like maybe the Forerunner. I'm also going to keep the other exclusive. This is Domri's No Dorog. This is 5 mana, 5/2, Trample. This is cool because when it enters the battlefield, you can search your library and/or graveyard for a card named Domri City Smasher. Reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle. So when you summon this guy, if you have lost your Domri Planeswalker to the graveyard, you can bring it back to your hand. Or if you haven't pulled that card yet from the deck, you can go find him. Good Nodorog, good girl. And lastly, I am definitely keeping the Glass of the Guild Pact that comes with this deck. This is amazing in our deck. For only 2 mana, you get an artifact. Multicolored creatures you control get +1/+1. It's a rare, and totally keeping this because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different creatures that are multicolored, and we have multiple of those creatures. So they're all going to get +1/+1, making them even better. This is a turn 2 play as soon as you can to make your creatures stronger. Or you could summon, if you've got both of them in hand, you could summon your 2-drop, and then next turn, your artifact, and this can be a 4/4 if you waited, summon this on turn 3, and then you're ready to attack with a 4/4 on turn 3. Nice. Let's talk Sideboard. Once you've got your first game against your opponent down, you'll be able to check your sideboard to see if you need to deface. This is a sorcery for 1 red mana. Choose 1. Destroy target artifact or destroy target creature with Defender. So destroy their pesky wall creature or an artifact that they may have. So I got 3 as an example, but you can do a whole play set of 4 to make sure you can get this card when you need it from the sideboard. Okay, so I mentioned about air defense. Our only reach creature is the Rubble Slinger, and there's other reach creatures that you can have in Gruul, such as that one spider. Or, from the sideboard, Sagittar's Volley for 3 mana instantly destroy target creature with flying. Sagittar's Volley deals 1 damage to each creature with flying your opponent controls. So, you can strategize here really well. You can destroy one of their flyers and then damage the other flyers. Probably want to do it after perhaps some of your attacks happen so that their creatures are even weaker. I'd put a playset of this. It's common. I've only got 2 as an example, but you can put as many as you think you need to deal with air attacks. And lastly, over here, I have Root Snare for 2 mana, instant. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. So let's say you're kind of low on defenses, your creatures from your opponent are coming at you, Root Snare them, and that saves you a bunch of damage for you to then exact your revenge. Or you could have attacked with everything, they didn't block being very cocky, you hold on to 2 mana, and then on their attack, Root Snare, and you're defended, and you win next turn. Now let's talk about Bling upgrades. Okay, so these are the upgrades that are going to take a little bit more cash to implement. Here is Domri Chaos Bringer. This is the other Domri Planeswalker from Ravnica Allegiance. For 4 mana, you get a 5 casting cost Planeswalker, +1, add red or green mana. If the mana is spent on a creature, it gains Riot. You've got a bunch of creatures to work with, so you get some free mana when you've got this Planeswalker out. You can have both of them out if you want. It won't destroy the multiverse, it's okay. And you'll get your creatures Riot. -3, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal up to 2 creature cards from among them and put them into your hand, and put the rest at the bottom. So, you can see what's coming next in your deck, and it's usually going to be a creature. You can put both of them in your hand. Nice. And then the ultimate, you get an emblem with, at the beginning of each end step, create a 4/4 red and green beast creature token with trample. So, you get an emblem which your opponents cannot destroy, they cannot naturalize it, they cannot do anything. This is permanent. If you can ultimate him at 8, this is permanent. And then every time at the end of your end step, you get a beast. So every turn you're going to get this little critter, 4/4 with trample, if you're able to ultimate Domri. You should be able to do that if you've got enough defense for 3+1s. Nice. It is a mythic rare, so it's getting up there in value. And lastly, if you want to improve the mana base, instead of taking these Gruul Gates into the deck, take them out of the deck and put in as many as you can of the Stomping Grounds. Now this is the big money card at the moment, because this can come in untapped and give you either red or green mana. It's a mountain and a forest at the same time, unlike a gate, which works differently. These are mountains and forests, and it's a rare, and it's getting up there in value. So that's a big money upgrade that you can do for this deck. And so there you go, that's my upgrade for the Domri City Smasher Planeswalker deck. What do you think? How would you add to it? What would you remove from it? How would you change it? Think about sticking with only Ravnica Allegiance cards, and common and uncommon. Or maybe tell me about, in the comments, some rare or mythic rare changes. Or what about adding stuff from Guilds of Ravnica? Tell me about it in the comments. If you liked this video, don't forget to thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Go on over to my Patreon link, because I've got a longer blog post for more ideas to upgrade this deck. You can access it for $1. Or if you don't quite have the funds at the moment, no worries. I've got a lot of other great stuff on my Patreon account for free. Go off and check it out. This has been vmcampos, and I'll see you on Ravnica.